Today we're going to be multiplying with decimals. We're going to use arrays in order to show our work. When you begin multiplying by decimals, you're not going to be paying attention to the decimal at first. When we go to our answer, we'll then start to look at where the decimal is located. Let's look at our first problem. We have 3 2/10 times 5. This means 3.2 times 5. Remember though that we're not going to pay attention to the decimal, so we're going to actually pretend that it's not there. So this problem would look like 32 times 5. In order to set up your array, you're going to draw your box. Your top number is going to be 32 and your side number is going to be 5. However, 32 times 5 is a bit big, so I'm going to break it up into two numbers. So 32 will be broken up into 30 and 2. Remember to cross down for your array. And 5 is going to stay the same because I know my math facts by 5. Now I'm going to set up the problems. I know that I'm going to multiply 30 times 5. And then I'm going to multiply 2 times 5. I know that 3 times 5 is 15, and then I'm going to add the 0 to the end. 2 times 5 is 10. Now I use these two answers and I add them together in order to get the total of the array. I know that 150 plus 10 is 160. Now we're going to look at the decimal. That we have our final answer, we go back to the original problem of 3 2/10 times 5. Now you're going to start off and you're going to count over how many places the decimal is. So for this one I count over just one place and there's the decimal. I go down to my answer and I'm going to count over one place and put my decimal in. So my final answer is going to be 16.0 or 16 0/10. Let's look at our next problem where I have 47 hundredths. Now looking at this, remember you're going to not pay attention to the decimal. So it looks like I'm going to have 47 times 8. Now that I know what my problem is without the decimal, I'm going to draw the array. The top number is going to be 47 and the side number is going to be 8. 47's a bit large, so I'm going to break it into two pieces, which would be 40 and 7. Cut down your array so you have your two pieces. Now 8's going to stay the same because I know my math facts by 8. The first problem you're going to have 40 times 8. In the second problem you are going to have 7 times 8. Multiply the 4 times 8, which is going to be 32, and bring down your 0. Then you're multiplying 7 times 8, which is going to equal 56. Now you're going to take your two answers, 320 and 56, and you're going to add them together. 6 plus 0 is 6, 2 plus 5 is 7, 3 plus nothing is 3. So right now I have 376. But going back to my original problem, I see that there's a decimal in it. I'm going to look at the number with the decimal, which is the 47, and I'm going to start over on the right and count over to the left. I can see that it's going to count over 1, 2 spaces. So I go down to my answer and I count over 2 spaces. 1, 2. So my final answer is going to be 3.76 or 3 76 hundredths. Let's look at our next problem, which is 9 4/10 times 3. The 9 4/10, I'm going to actually think about it as just being 94 times 3. Remember to ignore the decimal at first. Then you're going to go ahead and draw your array. I know that I have 93 up top and 3 to the side. I know that I'm going to break 93 up though because it's too large. I'll break it up into 90 and 3 and bring down, so I cut it into pieces. And then the 3 stays the same. Now my problems are going to be 90 times 3 and then 3 times 3. I'm going to multiply the 9 and the 3 together and get 27 and bring down your 0. And then I multiply 3 times 3 and I know that's going to equal 9. Now I'm going to take 270 and add 9. And I know that's going to equal 279. Now I need to go back up to my original problem because there was a decimal. I'm going to focus on the 9.4 and figure out how many place values I need to move my decimal. I start to the right and I can see that I move it over one place value. So I go down to my answer and move it over one place value and put my decimal. My final answer is 27.9 or 27 and 9/10. My last problem, I have 6 and 2/10 times 3/10, but I'm going to think about it without the decimals, which means that I'm going to have 62 times 3. Go ahead and draw your array. Your top number is going to be 62, your side number is going to be 3. Break 62 up into smaller pieces, which would be 60 and 2. Cross it down. The 3 stays the same. Your problems are going to be 60 times 3 and then 2 times 3. You can see that your answer is 6 times 3, which is 18. Bring down your 0. And then you have 2 times 3, which is 6. You're going to take 180 and you're going to add 6 to it and you get 186. Now you're going to go back up to your two numbers and you're going to have to take it one at a time. So I have 1 here and I have 1 here. So looking at this, I'm going to start with the 6.2. I start to the right and I go over just one place. Then I go to the 0.3 and I start and I go over one place. So one place plus one place equals 2 place values. So now I'm going to go down to my final answer. And I need to move it 2 place values because up at my original problem, it was moved over 2 place values. So I count over 1, 2, put your decimal, and your final answer is 1 and 86/100. The key to using the multiplication with arrays is making sure that you go back after you get your final answer and count over the place values.